Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits.
Bobby, Daddy, and Peter.
And their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail,
Peter.
and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank, underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning,
I go in the field.
"you may go into the fields
That way.
or down the lane,
No, go in the gaga body.
but don't go into Mr. McGregor's
Mommy,
garden."
One a body.
Yeah. "Now run along and
Mommy,
don't get into mischief.
Read it
I am going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella, and she went through the wood to the baker's.
Mommy, look, Mommy.
Yes, that's the mummy. She bought a loaf of brown
Bad.
bread and 5 currant
Bad.
buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies,
That one, the gaga Betty.
went down the lane to gather blackberries.
Mommy, look, gaga Betty.
But Peter,
Oh, naughty.
who was very naughty,
Wait, gaga Betty.
went straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden.
Gaga Betty.
He's in Mr. McGregor's garden. And he squeezed
Put on the gate.
onto the gate.
Mommy, look, Betty.
First he ate some...
Mommy, look, Betty.
There's a birdie. First he ate some lettuces
Betty.
and some French beans.
Betty.
And then he ate
Betty.
some radishes.
Wait, it's a Betty.
And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some
Betty.
parsley.
Betty.
But round the end of a cucumber frame,
Mommy,
whom should he meet
Mr. Gaga.
but Mr. McGregor?
Mommy, Mr. Gaga.
Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young
Betty.
cabbages.
Oh, Papa, I know better.
But he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out. He's running. He's waving his rake and calling out,
Papa Pete.
"Stop, thief!"
Oh.
Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages,
Betty.
and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not, and if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught. Gooseberry net. He got caught by the large buttons on his jacket.
No, only Daddy.
On his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons.
But it's new.
Quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears.
Big deer.
But his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, which he intended to pop on top of Peter. But Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. He rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a water can. It would have been... There's the water can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was
Mummy,
somewhere in the
Mr.
tool shed.
Mummy, Mr. Gaga.
He's looking. Perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot.
Cookie.
He began to turn them over carefully,
Cookie. Wow.
looking under each.
Eat.
Presently, Peter sneezed. Achoo!
Do.
Mr. McGregor was after him in
No way.
no time. He tried to put his foot on Peter.
Put Papa out the window. Beep. Up. Beep. Up. Window. Papa.
Who jumped out of a window, upsetting
Beep.
3
Beep.
plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor. Yes, he was tired of running after Peter.
Yeah.
So he went
Back on the work.
He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright,
Mommy,
and he had not
look
the
away.
least idea which way to go.
Mommy, look awake.
There he is. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that water can.
Water can.
After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity, not very fast,
Busy, no bark.
looking all
Around.
around. He found a door in a wall,
Oh, look.
but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath.
Peter Rabbit on the key.
He has no key, you're right.
Yeah,
An old mouse
Mommy, in and out. Don't do that.
was running in and out over the stone doorstep.
Yeah, people, Peter. People, no key too.
No, the mouse doesn't have a key either, but she fits underneath. She's carrying peas and beans
Betty in the wood.
to her family in the wood.
Mommy, Mommy, in and out. Don't back.
You're right. Peter asked her the way to the gate,
Take a big deer.
but she had such a large
Be in the mouth.
pea in her mouth that she could not
Aga.
answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to
Bye.
cry.
Bye.
Then he tried to find his way
Meow.
straight across the garden.
Mommy, look, meow.
Meow. But he became more and more puzzled. Presently,
Oh.
he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled up his
Run.
water cans.
Yay.
A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but
Dear.
now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. You're right, he had heard all about cats from his cousin,
Yeah,
little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter
No, not care.
Did not care. He slipped underneath the
Okay.
gate and was safe at
But
last
outside wood.
in the wood outside the garden.
Mommy, woo, wake up now.
Hang on. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds.
No, okay. Hand is you up again, pick way.
To scare the blackbirds away, that's right. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired.
Mommy, look at home.
He's home. But he was so tired that he flopped down on the nice, soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes
Peter, what's the
Peter had lost in a fortnight. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. One tablespoon to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper.
And
The end.